Welcome to the program. We are going to today tell you about the story, the life, and the legacy of Lou Brunswick. Lou was able to make the Coldwater baseball program one of the top powerhouses in the state of Ohio. He was also the founder, one of the founders of the Acme baseball program. We'll talk about that with his sons and more. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Come back once again. And we're here with two of Lou Brunswick's sons, Mark and Tom.
Hello.
Okay. Mark, of course, coached baseball at Bell Fountain, and Tom, you coached here in town too, correct, at Coldwater?
Yeah, I coached Coldwater Acme for 23 years.
Gotcha.
And before that, coached the Grand Lake Mariners over in Salina,
Okay.
in this area for 10 years as a head coach and 12 years total.
Okay. And how long, Mark, were you at Bell Fountain?
I was at Bell Fountain, I believe, for 22 years, and then from there I went to Marysville High School,
Okay.
and then I took on an AD coaching spot at Lehman Catholic High School.
Okay.
Yeah, so add those years up, and that's what you got. But I'm pretty much retired now.
Okay.
Still teaching and so forth, but pretty much retired.
Are you still involved in Lyman yet, even today?
I am not. No,
Okay.
I am not. So
Gotcha.
yeah, just retired.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess, gentlemen, let's talk about being the sons of Lou Brunswick. You know, obviously, you know firsthand what it was like. I guess, Tom, let me ask you, what was life like with your dad? And you know, you guys grew up. That's all you knew is playing baseball, correct?
Pretty well so. We lived in St. Henry until I was 4 years old.
Okay.
Dad graduated from St. Henry, and he got a coaching and teaching job at Coldwater in 1959. And you know, I was a young boy, 4 or 5 years old, when we moved to the house here on 501 North Elm Street, right by the ball field. And I remember when we moved in, Dad had mentioned that, hey, you know, you don't really have to play ball all the time. It's just your front yard is the baseball field. But he looked around for me. Didn't matter. I was already over there. I was playing, you know. So it was an advantage to be a coach's son like that, and to have your front yard out there. And it was always an honor to play for Dad and to grow up in a baseball family. So yeah, it was nice to be in a home with Dad, and because you always had equipment. His equipment was around there. He had all the things that you really needed to play the game. So big advantage.
Well, not only a big advantage, you probably made friends pretty quick, and guys in the neighborhood said, you said, hey, let's play ball, and that's what you did, right?
We would play for hours and hours and hours, and we would play in the center field of the main diamond. We would tear that place up. I mean, we had bases that we'd lay down, we'd throw our gloves down there, 4 bases, and we'd play out in center field and try to hit them over the fence. And back then, it wasn't so concerning how the field looked. It was just a matter of just playing all day long. And we'd play out in center field in that grass, and where the bases were, there's always bare spots there. That's proof that we're playing.
Oh, really? Mark, do you remember those days? Were you part of that too?
Yeah, actually we had, Tom, if you remember, to add on to that, we used to create like a league. I mean, when
You
we
created a league.
Well, when we played, we called it rubber ball, okay?
Okay.
And we used rubber ball. We played first base out, not sometimes pitcher's hands, but I mean, we would go out and about and rally up 18 to 19 people, and we'd have all positions filled. And we even got to the point, I know I did, we would keep stats, okay? We would keep like Sandlot stats. That's how important it was for us. And the one year I had a whopping 75 home runs.
You.
Yeah, yeah, but that was rubber ball now. That was rubber ball and just having fun in the backyard. But that's how we sort of did it. I mean, that's how we still believe today, how you get better. You get out there and just play and play and play and play. And you know, when Tom did say that, you know, we get out there at 9, a.m. in the morning and get done at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then go to our Little League game. He wasn't kidding. We did do that.
We played all day long, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, I'm 8 years older than Mark, so he talked about playing right field out sometimes, and we had to do that because we didn't have enough players. So we needed another player, and Mark was 8 years younger, so we thought, should we let him play or not? We need a right fielder. Well, you know what? He was better than half the guys out there, so he was a player from then on.
So he was the youngest.
He was the youngest player out there when we all were playing. That's for sure. Yeah, we had 8, 9 years on Mark, but he was one of the better ball players out there. You could tell he was going to be a good ball player, and it was good to include him in there. And then there were some few days he showed up over brother. That's okay. That's all right.
Okay, let's talk about that. Besides yourselves, besides Tom and Mark, there are other brothers here. Who are the other brothers that were involved too?
The youngest brother in our family is Jeff.
Right.
Jeff is the head baseball coach at Archbold High School. He's going into his second year, right? Or is it third?
It's the head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His second.
Jeff's, I think it's his third year as the head coach, and he was the assistant, oh boy, 25, 26.
Yeah, he was a long-time assistant at Archbold, and Jeff put his time in. Jeff's got a great passion for the game, love for the game, and he's really good with the kids.
He retired this year, but he's still going to coach the baseball team at Archbold and see how that goes. Not teaching and coaching. So, and he's a little bit younger. Yeah. So he never got into the games. We already found our right fielder, so we didn't need Jeff. But a little bit later on, when I left, they kept playing, and Jeff got to play also as he grew into the game.
Okay. Anything else about that? That's a pretty good story.
No, it was constant. I mean, it was a plan by Dad. Don't get it wrong. It was a plan to buy that house on the corner.
Okay.
Okay, because indirectly he didn't have to say a word to us 3 boys about you better be in the cages taking batting practice and being out on the field. And sure enough, we just migrated over there. Dad sometimes would sit in his lawn chair and he could hear the ping of the bat from the batting cage. And he could tell if us 3 boys were getting good swings in and so forth. And he used to throw a lot of batting practice to us all the time. He gave up his time. I mean, 24/7, Dad was a guy that just did what was best for his family.
You know, a couple of things on that, Mike. Number one, Dad would throw as much as he could, but he was a sidearm pitcher, and as the years went by, he went lower and lower and lower until he couldn't get it over the L screen anymore. So then we had to find someone else to throw a little bit. And by living in the house where we lived, we were easy to find. We're at the batting cages, you know. You aren't going to find us at the pool, because us boys, we're not swimmers.
Yeah.
We're not swimmers. I was the girls. The girls are good swimmers, but you can find us at the cages all the time. So, yeah, Dad threw a lot of BP, and we played a lot on the diamond. And you know, back then, like, it was a skin infield. By that, no grass. All the diamonds around here were skin infields.
Yes.
So we'd play for hours and hours and hours on that skin infield. And also in the outfield, there wasn't a big concern about the cosmetics of the field. Just everybody played all day long. We would set up Iron Mike, as we called him.
The red pitching machine.
The red pitching machine. He would come out, they would set him up at 8 in the morning, and he would stay out there till 3:30 in the afternoon. You talk about a pitch limit. I think Iron Mike probably went over the pitch limit, way over the pitch limit.
For sure. Let's take a short break. We'll come back here with more from both Tom and Mark Brunswick, and we'll do that right after this. Back once again here. We continue to talk with both Tom and Mark Brunswick about the life of their father and growing up playing baseball in Coldwater. Let's talk, and I don't know if you know more about this, Mark, or you do, Tom. Acme Baseball. How did that start? And I know your dad was big in starting that too. And I don't think he was the only one, right?
Correct. if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, well, it started in 1960, so Acme is going on its 66th or 67th year here this year. And it's a program set up for, like, when you lose your seniors, your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seniors. It's a chance to get your new team together and play a competitive schedule in the summer against some other high school kids. So it's been a really, really productive program for really a lot of schools in Northwest Ohio, but basically started with Dad. And I don't want to mention a whole lot of names because I'll forget some of them.
Some of the key ones were like Ed Bullenbacher and Don
Okay.
Lockman. And
Yes,
Boots
Fowler. Yeah, and Dad and those guys started that in 1960. Before that, the Coldwater team would play Legion teams. They would play against some older kids.
So they just decided to compete, they just say, oh, well, let's just play Legion ball, or play Legion teams.
They would play against Legion teams.
Right.
But then Dad and about 7 or 8 other teams in this area started an Acme schedule that year. And it just started with 8 teams. And it's grown to what it is today. One time there was well over 100 teams.
Really?
Now there's probably 60 some, Mark, you know for sure.
I would say about 50
some
in there.
But it just started in Mercer and All Glaze. And then it has grown to basically as far south as Dayton and Vandalia. We used to have teams to Bell Fountain and all the way north to Toledo.
Toledo, yeah, because I remember at one time Toledo started, it's very much involved in it. They're not, unfortunately they're not anymore, but you still have teams like Anthony Wayne who's still involved in it, out of the Northern Lakes League. So
It's been a great program for all the local teams here, especially Coldwater. It was, there's some summers where we played almost 40 games. I know Mark, when he was at Bell Fountain, they played almost 50 one year. I think they won 40 games. So, you know, that's a productive
41
summer
and
for
3.
sure. Yeah.
41 and 3?
Yeah,
So,
they won it that year.
you know, to get a team, after you lose your seniors, to get a good pulse on your next team, you need 20 to 25 games to figure out, you know, your positions. And the main thing really is the kids get some chemistry. You know, once you lose your seniors, they're gone. So it's a nice way to build your structure for your next team with not only skill positions, but also the chemistry of the team. Now, these days, the spring schedule goes till the state tournament's June 14th or
yeah,
so.
right.
And the Acme State is like the end of June, so it's a quick
Or
season now.
actually, it's the end of, it's into July now. The Acme States are into July.
It's about July 12th.
About July 12th
Yeah.
and stuff, and everybody was saying, and I think part of the problem is Acme baseball is running into mostly football coaches wanting their kids to be active in the month of July now.
Well, and I'll go off of what Tom had here and what he said to preface Acme a little bit. Like we said, we went from 100 to like 50 teams. And the reason for that is times have really changed.
Right.
Travel baseball has come into play. People think exposure is huge. The dynamics of a program are really hurt, especially in the bigger cities where there's more bodies. Like Coldwater in this area here still holds a little bit of that because it's still rural communities and so forth.
Right.
To where there's not major cities necessarily around here, but it is affecting this area too. But in giving it a plug, you still have to play together some in the summertime.
Right.
For you to have your team ready for the spring. And that is really hurting it. I really believe, because that's hurting Acme, that you're seeing the spring product. And I'll be the first to say it, because I've been around it enough to say it, that I believe the spring product, even the state champions and stuff like that, are nowhere near as good as what they used to be. Near as good. And I don't say that with disrespect. I say that with the philosophy of where we're at now and where we want to go. In the past, you played for your school.
Right.
Today, it seems like you're maybe playing for yourself a little bit, and that is the part I do not like.
You know, travel ball is here, and it's rural. It's in this area. It's been in our program. It's good. I don't mind it. However, when it's time to play tournament, your sectionals, district, and state, I'd like to get all the players together to see how good you really are, and get the kids to play together a little bit during the summer. So, yeah, a little bit of both. It's okay. I know they want to play some travel, but also Acme is important too, so the kids can stay together and build some chemistry. I mean, what a better thing than compete with your teammates against other good teams, you know? What are you going to talk about at your 10, 15, 20-year reunion? You're going to be talking about playing ball together, right? So,
Right.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I do want to jump into that is, since Trent Beckman is here, part owner with Mike Maag, and thank you for allowing us to use your facility here at McSober's, is St. Henry won their first state title this year, 2025 in Acme.
Right.
And Trent and Vern Holing and Tim Beckman and everybody, along with Mike Gass and all, they embraced it. And they got the fire trucks out, brought them back into town and so forth. It was a huge deal for them. And to be honest with you, in my heart of hearts, I was so happy for St. Henry to have that opportunity, because they were into it. They were into it.
Yeah, they earned it. They had a really good, productive summer. It's ironic too, because, you know, Acme started in this area, and Dad actually went to high school in St. Henry, and they won it this year. And really, it's the first time one of the smaller schools have won it in a while,
I believe so.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, maybe Archbold has won it a few times.
That's been a while, though.
Yeah.
That's been a while. Because, and speaking of that, though, Dad played on the 45, 46 state teams at St. Henry
Really?
with his best friend. You know who that was?
And that was
Come on, I know you
Wally?
know. Wally Post.
Yep,
Yeah,
Wally Post.
Wally Post.
He hit the first home run at Chavez Ravine,
Dodger Stadium.
Okay.
April the 10th, 1962. Yeah, Wally Post. That's a trivia question.
There you go, there you go. You guys are a wealth of knowledge with this, but I guess let's talk about your dad, the man. You guys come from a large family. I guess, Mark, how many were in your family altogether? Yourselves and
And I
your-
want to mention those names because we try to spread the wealth in our family.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you.
All right.
We try to love on everybody in our family and take care of everybody. We mentioned Tom, myself, and Jeff as the
Right.
boys. In the girls' side of things was Jane, Mary, Carol, and Amy. And Jane is, let's not leave her out of this equation. Jane is, if they would have it, or if it would be, I don't know, she was a gymnastics coach for years. I would say legendary. I would say she got the ethics award one year in coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's sort of unheard of and so forth. Carol was a full ride gymnast at Bowling Green. Amy was a full ride gymnast at Bowling Green. And Mary was a perfect coach's wife and so forth for our legendary brother-in-law who passed, Greg Peitzman. That adds up to 7.
There you go.
Seven.
That's at 7
There's
kids.
7.
Plus we had a dog in the house, and
Yeah.
yeah, so we had everything.
So
Yeah.
7 of us in one bathroom.
Okay.
So you learn when to share and you learn when to fight for yourself.
Yeah,
But
there
we
you
know the girls are gonna get in the bathroom a lot longer than we do.
Okay.
We don't need it too long, that's for sure.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Let's talk about, sounds like you had a good life, good family. No family is perfect though, right, gentlemen? I'm sure you guys had your moments with your sisters and your brothers. I'm sure there were a few times that there a few
Yeah.
minor skirmishes.
What was great?
Take that, will you, Mark?
Yeah, and you piggy off of this here. What was great about the situation was, like Tom said, with the one bathroom and so forth, it's hard sometimes for us to comprehend some family stuff today because we had that little ranch house. That was a ranch house. And one bathroom and 7 kids. I mean, the girls actually on a school day would already be getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning, so they had to get their hair ready for school. While the boys, you know, we were going to sleep in a little bit and so forth. But the thing about our family, though, is did we have skirmishes? Oh, yeah, boy, oh boy, did we have some knockdown dragouts. But there was always love. There was always love. Our mom and dad, mom is still living at 95, and dad passed away a couple years ago. But there was always major love and major respect for each other. And we always had each other's backs. We really did.
Mom and Dad always made sure they went to all the events. The girls were always good into gymnastics and were very good at it. They loved swimming. Us guys were baseball guys. So Dad always made sure he peeked in. If he's got a game, he's going to go up to the meet for a while, or he's going to go into the gymnastics meet. But he also went to the baseball games, of course. You know, he was the coach, so he had to be there.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought we had 7 kids because we had 7 channels on our TV. We didn't have remotes. And Dad would say, turn on channel 7. Jane would get up and turn it to channel 15. I get up and turn it. Channel 21, Amy gets up and turns it. You know, we didn't have remotes back then. That's I'm kidding, of course. But, you know, on the back clothesline, there's always uniforms hanging there. Always. We played every day. And of course there was not gymnastic outfits, but basically swimsuits were on the line too. The boys, Jeff and Mark, they were catchers, so they always got dirty, you know. And then as an infielder, there's some days I went 0 for 4, so I had to, you know, roll around the dirt a little bit to get dirty before I came home. But the boys were already dirty to begin with. But growing up on 501 North Elm was pretty good. We got along pretty well. It was amazing family, yeah, and loved through our parents, both of them.
Yeah, and just to finish up on that too, so everybody knows, because we had mentioned that, Tom sometimes plays the humble role here and so forth, but Tom played many years with the Philadelphia Phillies, the Oakland Athletics, and was able to get some spring training big league at bats and so forth. I was fortunate through Tony Lucadello, Tom through Tony Lucadello, to play for the New York Mets, drafted in the 3rd round, and Jeff played a couple of years there at Wright State University. So we had a love. I mean, our passion and our love for the game of baseball was amazing because I brought up Tony Lucadello. Tony would be, that's when scouts went and saw the games, not tournaments. They went to your game that they were looking at. And Tony holds how many, 50-some big leaguers today?
I think he's around 50, you know. Mike Schmidt would be the one that we probably all know.
Toby Harrah.
Ferguson Jenkins.
Fergie Jenkins, those guys. But yeah, but every Monday, because Tony lived in Fostoria, Mike.
Right.
Every Monday, though, he would find his way back to 501 North Elm. He would sit in a chair with Lou and us boys and check on our progress, because eventually, over time, he didn't say it, but he wanted to do it. He wanted to draft all of us.
Wow. He was such a good man, and he was a good baseball person. I remember coming home from school a lot of times and seeing him walk around the park. And once you saw his car there and saw him walking around the park, he carried a different gait. You were like, oh, okay, the scout's here. It's time to shape up. Okay?
Better be on our A game.
But he's always looking down at the ground. And I always wondered why he was looking down there. And when I went to the park later that day, I never found any change. I think he found it all. He would always be walking around looking for change. He thought a lot of
Underneath the grandstand.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you
He
go.
was a good
Killing
man.
time.
He's been around. He was around it so long, and you know the roots of baseball right there. Tony Lucadell, and he was good to our family. He was good in this area. You know, before they had the draft, which started in 1965, Tony drafted a lot of. Actually, there was no draft. He got a lot of kids to sign because they could trust him as a baseball guy. You know, if you're going to let your son, go play baseball, you want to let it go with a good person. Tony's a very trusted man.
Do you remember a player by the name of Toby Hara?
Yes, I do.
Toby Hara was from West Virginia,
Okay.
and his dad and Toby, because back then you worked, they were in the coal mines. And so there is a story, I can't prove it, but Tony tells the story. Remember, Tony took the elevator down into the coal mines
Into the coal mine.
and went in there to look up Toby and said, Toby, we need to sign you right now. And that was the time he signed Toby, and weeks later, Toby was off and running.
Toby Hara.
Toby Hara.
Did he spell his name forward or backwards?
You realize his name's the same, forward and backwards.
Yeah.
We got that. Yeah. Good man.
Gentlemen, we're going to take a break in a moment, but I did want to ask both of you the same question. You now are in the second generation of players. I'm talking about your nephews, your sons, so on and so forth. How many of them are playing baseball? How many of your nephews, basically Lou's grandchildren, are playing baseball today?
Well, help me out on this so I don't miss anybody, because actually it would be like our nieces and nephews and great-grand, we're on the other end of the dial right now, so to speak. But through that, Brian and Brad played Coldwater baseball. Aaron, my nephew, Pikesmeyer, played for me at Bell Fountain. Braden Shaw, Cody Shaw are playing at Defiance College right now.
Okay.
Braden is, Cody is at Finley College, playing Finley University, playing there, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Did I miss any?
They played at Defiance High School for Coach Hell, and they're playing there. Mark hasn't mentioned his daughter. You know, his daughter played at OU. You know, she went as a walk-on. Kenzie did. Kenzie Brunswick, yeah, she was softball at OU. And as far as I know, Mark, he can help me out here, but I think she just kind of walked on and took advantage of a young lady that got hurt and got an opportunity. Her freshman, sophomore, junior year, by the time she was a senior, she was one of the leaders of the team, and I think she was one of the captains. And she played center field.
Yeah, and sorry about that, Mom, forgetting your daughter and stuff like that. But
that's where big brothers help out.
Yeah, thank you. But Mackenzie was very proud of her, let's put it that way. We don't go out of our way to necessarily throw the names out there and so forth, but Kenzie was a girl that actually wanted to play volleyball. And over time, ended up going to softball because all her volleyball were small schools. She wanted a bigger school environment. So we said, we didn't go to all these showcases, all this stuff, and spend all that money. Actually, Gay and I helped save the money so we could help pay for her school that first year.
Okay.
And so we took her to an OU baseball or softball camp.
Right.
And the thing about it is, you know what coaches are looking for, and females that have really good arms, sometimes it's a little bit different. Kenzie had a really, really, really good arm. And so she threw in that camp, and about a week later they gave her a call, and they gave her a gray shirt to play. And so she ended up sticking out 4 years and got beat in the regional finals on the way to the super regionals by the University of Tennessee.
Right. And she was one of the few Brunswicks that could run.
Okay.
She had some wheels. We had some wheels. They were just flat most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back. We'll wrap things up right after this.
You got it.
Back one more time here as we continue to talk about the life and legacy of Lou Brunswick. I guess, gentlemen, Tom, Lou the man, what was he like?
He was known as a great baseball coach.
In fact, how many state titles did he have?
He won 5.
Good.
He won 5. Their team won
Fantastic.
5. But he was much more than a coach. He was just a great person. He was able to get the best out of his players. No matter if they were superstars or they were down the liners, he got the best out of each one of them. And he did that by getting to know who they were. Get to know them as people first. This isn't a second baseman, a shortstop, a third baseman. He was a person. He was able to build trust with the people, relationships. He was able to make lifelong relationships with players. It would be nothing for someone to knock on the door that played for Dad in 1965, and it's 50 years later, knock on the door and said, "Coach, can I come in just to talk?" That's the kind of guy he was. Yeah. If you ever played for him, you will always know, because that door is always open for you to come in. And he was always able to get the best out of his players by building relationships, as I mentioned earlier. There's a saying that goes something like this: nobody really cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And he cares. He cares about each person. He cares about each coach. And he's a very caring person. And make no mistake about it, if you did something wrong or mentally weren't into it, he let you know about it. But he also let you know when you did the right thing too. He was the kind of guy that when you played for him, you had to build a trust with him, and you wanted to do so well for him because of that trust. It wasn't like, I gotta get this squeezed out. I want to get this squeezed out because I want to get this squeezed out because of the trust that we have. So he got the best out of all his players, and he also got the best out of people. I know a lot of students in the past told me that they respected Dad as a teacher, and because they were struggling with class, they were struggling with their grades and things, and he was always there. He was always there to help someone.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, Tom, I think what he did, it was such a magical, I always use the word magical. It was such a magical, loving, caring relationship. Some of those key words that Tom brought up that he integrated in his program. The 5 state titles wasn't his goal, okay? His goal was to make good student athletes and young men, to raise them to have good families. It just so happened that when you integrate that into a culture, any sport, when you integrate that into a culture, people want to do more. People want to do more than what they can do, and believe it or not, they'll end up doing that. And I believe that's what happened. And I believe that it's what happened with him having so many of his ex-players. And I'm going to mention their names because all of these guys are in the Ohio High School Hall of Fame. There's a total of 5. And to my knowledge, that is a record of any school in the state of Ohio. I can speak on Ohio. I can't go any farther than that. And those guys are, and I'm going to try and give them to you in order here, is obviously Lou Brunswick, Greg Wilker, Millbury Lake, Brian Harlemert took over after Mr. Coach Wilker here, played for Dad, and had many, many great years here. Trent Deuce, who was at Vandalia Butler, what a great program. You know, speak highly of Trent too. Trent is, his sons are just phenomenal baseball players. And he's doing a great job down at Vandalia Butler. and myself at Bell Fountain, Marysville, and Lincoln Catholic High School. So what reason why I'm mentioning that and how it branched off is Coldwater has a foundation here that, like Tom said, you have somebody 50 years ago that's pulling up in right field yet, parking their car, and still wanting to know what the results of the games are. Okay, because it's that important. It's that important. I'll never forget when Jason Himmelgard, principal of Coldwater,
Okay.
came up and we're talking. We're having a couple of cocktails out at the field there, out in left field there. That's the Busch
Yeah,
Gardens.
oh, yeah.
The Busch Gardens.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I said, well, thanks, Jason, for always keeping this going. He said, the thing you got to realize is your dad made this important. And by making it important, everybody else that follows has to make it important.
Well, Mark did mention, but I will, he is going into the Hall of Fame this year, which is in 2 weeks, January 22nd or 23rd. So congratulations to Mark.
Thanks.
I'll say that many
Thank
more
you.
times, but
Thank
he's going
you.
in this year.
Thank you.
Trent went in last year. And
Trent went in last year, and then Brian went in about 2019.
Right.
Greg Wilker, Greg was a player that was a role player for Dad. A role player. You know the Wilkers, right? You want to talk about a family that has an absolute passion for the game. You go back to Kenny Wilker and all those guys. Stan Wilker, remember him being the AD at Marion Local for years and years, passed away.
Ran.
Which is
Ken, yeah.
You know, they had.
I saw her going over the house.
Yeah, over that White House out there in right field. Wood bats, by the way. He was just a role player, Greg was, for Dad, but had such a love for the game, he continued what Dad helped with him and went to Millbury Lake and became a legendary coach. He's got over 600 wins. And let me go through these. Dad has 700, I want you to calculate this, okay? Scott, you gotta calculate all this stuff, okay? Get your math here going. 750 wins by Dad, okay? And that at one time used to be the winningest wins in Ohio. He has been surpassed by several of them. And one of them is our good friend Tom Held from Defiance.
Okay, yeah.
Tommy has roughly 820-ish or whatever wins and so forth. The second one, Greg Wilker, has 600 and some wins. I can't give you the actual number. If Wilkes was here, he'd be able to tell me that. But 600. Brian Harlemer had 500 and
531, I think.
531. 531. Trent just broke 600 at Vandalia Butler. And honestly, I'm going to give Trent a plug here. Trent's got Kobe, his son, that's a junior, going to Ohio State. Already committed to go to Ohio State playing baseball. If Trent really wants to do it, okay, Trent, let's see if you got it in you, big boy. Okay? No, I'm throwing it out there. Trent actually still has the health and everything to go out there and beat Dad's winning record. He's got 600. I'm thinking he's close to 640 right now. He's got 2 more years left with his son. And who knows?
He's still a young man, he can do it.
Oh, he's got that BP. I think Trent still throws that BP at about 75, 80 mile an hour.
Right.
There you go.
There's a lot of wins there.
And then myself, I was fortunate enough to be a part and be around a lot of good people.
Mark, how many you have? 550?
I have 502 wins. I broke the 500 level and so forth. And just proud to be a part of those guys.
Yeah.
You know, being a part of that.
And with that, the wins happened along the way, but he made a lot of men. I mean, he helped with a lot of kids in the men, lifelong skills he taught. And Jeff and I and Mark, we always wanted to be half the coach that Dad was. And I think we made it, because if you add up Mark's wins, my wins, and Jeff's wins, we got about half as many wins as Dad has.
There you go.
So, but we've had these round tables before with all of us 5 coaches. You know, we've had baseball get-togethers
Right.
and so forth where we have talked about this. But when you talk to Greg and when you talk to Brian passed and rest in peace, when you talk to Trent, myself, the biggest thing that they'll say that they took from Coldwater's program and Dad isn't necessarily the X's and O's. It was how to relate to kids and relationships and be a part of their lives.
And when Dad did coach, they did so many reps, like the squeeze play, the fundamentals, getting bunts down, fielding bunts. That's how the Coldwater Cavaliers won when Dad was coaching, by the fundamentals. Now, some of our kids didn't quite look as good as some of the other teams' uniforms. They had 3, 4, 5 different sets of uniforms. We had the same tops, right? Orange tops, faded, white pants. But the kids inside the uniform were what made the Coldwater program. And you had to beat them. They weren't going to make mistakes. They weren't going to make mental errors. They weren't going to make errors. They were going to make you beat them. So if you got into close games, a lot of times the Cavaliers would end up on top because of that. And that's because of the reps that they did. They would work them over and over again. When they put the squeeze on, they don't just all of a sudden put it on. They practice it a lot, over and over. It's just an extension of practice. Oh, you want the squeeze down? Yep, get it down. So it was amazing. Dad, at the end there, he would kind of struggle with some things, with his health. I was always wondering if he's in tune or not. The thing I would ask him is, Dad, what years you went to state? Without batting an eye, he'd say 83, 84, 87, 90, 92. Really, to his credit, if he met you once, even to the day he died, he'd still know you. He had a good memory to the end. Yep.
Very good.
It was, as far as playing for him, I felt it was an honor. Mark, I don't know if you did. I know you did. It was an honor to play for him. Was there extra pressure? I don't know. Maybe a little bit.
Not from him.
I know it wasn't from him. It was from us.
Right.
To try to do well for him.
Right.
I know if he came home, if he went 2 for 4 and 1, it was easier than going 0 for 4 and losing.
Yeah.
But we never rehashed the game. Like, he would go do this thing and we'd do our homework or whatever, and basically it was like, okay, that one's over, let's try tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day.
Exactly.
We never really just went like, you gotta do this, I never felt the pressure from him, but I felt the pressure to do well for him on my own part.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for talking to us about the legacy of your father, Lou Brunswick. He's sorely missed, I know, by not only you and the rest of your family, but the baseball world in general. The high school baseball world, probably is not going to see another coach quite like your dad.
And before we go off, and I would like for you to make sure that you keep this in the edits and so forth, I want to thank Scott, okay, and I want to thank Mike for all your years in doing this. I mean, people, this is a Sunday afternoon in January, okay? And there's a lot of other places Mike and Scott could be, but like Tom brought up a story way back when, Mike was covering my games way back when.
Yes.
And he has been dialed in and for the kids since day one, and he hasn't missed a beat. You talk about a legend of the legends. It's Mike Maag right here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
I remember tuning in when you used to do your post-game shows. And I always tuned in every night to listen to your post-game show. Mike, you've covered high school basketball, baseball, all sports
Right.
for a long, long time.
Right.
And you're an ambassador of the game. You're an ambassador of the sport. You do what you can to make it best for the kids. And right now, there's a lot of things going for them. They're on TV now. Remember
Right.
back in our day, we were on TV, and they're on radio. You get them on the computer, and it's all behind the Mike Maags of the world. He's done a great job, and And so is so many other people that cover high school sports. We thank them all.
Gentlemen, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys this spring. I'm sure we will at some point in time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for coming out.
It's going to do it for our program. We hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully we can do this again sometime. Thank you very much. Thank you to Scott Bingham for doing the editing. I'm Mike Maag. So long, everybody.